ils se sont rencontrés dans un train, en l'occurrence dans le TGV de l'année dernière. Alors, je ne sais pas, on ne m'a pas dit si c'était à l'aller ou au retour, mais en tout cas, ils se sont rencontrés dans le train, voilà, le TGV, et ils ont échangé sur leurs vocations respectives, la poésie et la musique. Alors, la poésie et la musique, ça peut produire des choses formidables, surtout quand les deux voyageurs s'appellent Markus Schmidt, qui est compositeur de musique et dont les compositions ont été jouées souvent par des orchestres et ont gagné le prix de la meilleure musique de jeux vidéo régulièrement. Et quand il fait la rencontre enviable de Tishani Doshi, dont j'ai vu quelque part qu'elle était née, elle était d'origine gallo-gurjati, donc ça veut tout simplement dire que sa maman était galloise et que son père était indien, qu'elle vit aujourd'hui quelque part sur un village, dans un village au sud de l'Inde, pas loin de Chennai, de Madras, et puis dans le reste du monde. Tishani Doshi est une écrivain, poétesse. Vous avez peut-être entendu parler de son livre l'année dernière, Le Pays des Corps, qui est son premier texte, poésie, puis un premier roman, Les Chercheurs de plaisir. Et puis, tout en étant écrivain, elle a exploré avec beaucoup de talent le territoire de la danse. Elle a créé une compagnie. Et puis, depuis en effet 2001, plus de 10 ans, elle travaille comme danseuse contemporaine à Chennai et à Madras. Et ensemble, tous les deux, ils vont nous proposer pendant 10-15 minutes, voilà, l'objet de la rencontre. Et merci au TGV, puisque c'est grâce au TGV qu'on va pouvoir voir et écouter ce petit moment. Je ne sais pas où ça se passe, mais quelque part en tout cas.
This is an ode to be sung in the latest hour of night, when rain clouds have gathered over shingle roofs and blue-skinned gods with magical flutes seduce the virgins to dance. For there can be no love without music, no rain without peacocks perched in branches of sandalwood trees, with plumes of angels and voices of thieves pleading for their loves to return. If rain signals a lover's return, then I am lost in the desert, burning like the brain fever bird, looking for images of you through mesquite and teak, for there is no sign of you or what I know to be as you, only clouds adrift in a vanquished sky, like vines of throbbing arms and mouths, drinking at the shore, intoxicated with the night. There are as many ways of yearning as there are ways for rain to fall. Slow, incessant, gentle, squalling, melancholy, warm. It's that old idea of drowning in another to find the self, the compliance that water gives in form and depth to something else. But what if the hummingbees are quiet and the garlands of jasmine have been laid out to dry? How long to wait for everything to flower, be washed of dirt? It's desire, after all, that spins us, demands to be praised as if it were new, like the stillness before the first monsoon, when the hymen of the earth is torn in two and the brazen smell of damp fills the air. Must there be surprise after we've thundered and rolled and appeased our thirst when the silence returns again? In truth, isn't it a waiting that never ends, like the chasm between the cycles of the world, between separation and union, longing and abandonment, and somewhere in the waning, isn't this what we're left with? The music of uncertainty, the aftertaste of rain. Good afternoon, everyone. Marcus and I are very pleased and honored to be here at the forum this year. We met last year on the train coming up, and we had a talk about our professions, and an idea to collaborate came about. I, as you might have heard, have worked as a dancer, I'm a writer, and as a poet, I always wonder how we can bring poetry to a larger audience, and so I feel I'm doing that by presenting myself at the forum today. And we have interestingly performed already 3 times together, even though the idea was to just do this performance here. So it's a bit of a homecoming for the both of us. I'm going to read a poem next, which is inspired by a great Urdu poet called Mir. And of all the discussions we've been having today, and indeed last time as well, technology is such a big part of them. And as a poet, one of the things I noticed when I went back to this wonderful old poetry was that all of the love poems were fueled by a sense of yearning because the lovers were separated and there was distance between them. And it was from the distance that the poetry was born, because they had to send messages to each other and express themselves. And I think the very nature of love has changed today in a bit, because there is never really distance between us. We are always a message away, or a Skype call, or a text message. And so this is a poem which is slightly nostalgic, and it's imagining a woman who is trapped in this century, who's growing old, and who is speaking to her lover, who is trapped in the past century, and asking him to come back to her. So it's called Lines to a Lover from a Previous Century. My love, I have grown old waiting. My body is no longer tall or graceful as the cypress. When I walk, it is no longer as if spring is approaching. My hips don't sway as they used to, like flower-laden branches moving in the morning breeze. The coral of my lips, the pearl of my cheek, the raven tresses of my hair, they have been ravaged by time and no longer know how to ensnare a young man's heart or intoxicate like wine. My love, I have been waiting so long for you to take me in your arms as gently as night envelops evening to its breast. I have kept vigil by this window, waiting for your shadow to grow from the west, for the sound of your step, for the sweet lilt of your voice from afar. Are you not tired of being away, dear heart? Do you not long to hold me one last time so we can leave this world with our bodies as bright as the moon and stars. I have grown old waiting, my love, and this is not a country for the aged. The lovers here know nothing of time, of how the soul must pine before there can be togetherness again. These women do not blush at a man's gaze. Nothing tears their heart, nothing breaks. And the men, they don't understand longing or the thousand yearnings of the heart. They only want to hold the moment. Now, they say, now, as if it were everything. Now they want to see and talk and touch. And when these men leave behind their beloveds, they are not like moths to the flame. They do not wander the streets lost, speaking aloud their lovers' names. My love, it has been years since you were here, but my eyes still see you every day. My heart still beats for your touch. If you would come to the garden one last time to pass the long night in my arms, I promise not to hide when morning comes, but to see you off into the fields, to wander there on blistered feet, because I knew my life would be taken as forfeit. When I began, I knew how I would end. Just come to me once again. So when it's time to meet my maker, I'll know to ask the breeze where to find the vagabond of love. And when the breeze gathers up a little dust into the air, my love, I'd know to end this wait and follow it like a prayer. Thank you. And so that you know that I'm not a completely anti-technology person, because I'm not, I should explain also that I live most of the year between two fishing villages in South India, and Marcus lives on a boat north of Paris. And so the only way that we could have a dialogue and a conversation for the last year is with Skype calls and technology, in fact, emails, and this was our way of presenting something artistic, and so I think it does obviously have advantages. I'm going to end with a poem that has to do, I suppose, with the idea of memory. It's the poem that's taken me a very long time to write. It's a sestina. I think, as was mentioned in my biography, my mother is Welsh, and I don't necessarily identify with the Welsh part because I barely spent any time there. But this poem, which is called Memory of Wales, is a Welsh poem. It's about being a child and visiting my grandmother and going to the playground and discovering that in summertime in Wales, the days went on for a very long time, and much longer than in Madras, because the sun set very late. And it was a very interesting and beautiful idea that time could be elastic and that it did not always have to be constant. And so this poem is about that memory, but it's also in a way about the bending of time and perhaps meeting your mother before she's your mother, something like that. So this is Memory of Wales. This is how it arrives, the memory of Wales on a day of scanty light. I'm walking towards the playground. I will never know newness like this or fear. I'm walking and I'm 8. I see a girl on the swing, my mother, or at least a version of my mother, fair-haired, small. In the memory of Wales, it is often cold. I am 8, and the cows are stalking light like monsters in the playground. I will never know newness like this. I will never know a world like this. This is my childhood and my mother's. Everything begins in the playground. Beauty, decay, love, lilies. Memory starts here on the stairs, in skylight. Cows chew eternally. I'm 8. In this memory, I am always 8. There is a painting that speaks to this malady of recurrence, an indigo twilight of melting clocks, which shows Mother Time as a kind of persistence, memory and dream coupling on the ground. Everything we love returns to the ground. Mother, father, childhood. When I'm 8, I know nothing of betrayal, but still the memory persists. Only once is it different from this. The playground is empty, and my mother, no longer a girl, is walking a ridge of light. Now she's at the wooden gate. Light from Welsh stars tumbles to the ground. Bronze cliffs in the distance sing. My mother has met a man. She's going away. I'm 8, but I've always known she'll forsake all this. Forsaking, after all, is a kind of memory. My mother is 8 and in Wales again. She's in the playground of memory, swinging towards light, towards this. Thank you very much. Thank you.